Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 15th June 2017. The first article, Musings on London Bridge. This is related to recent lone wolf attacks that are increasing in Western capitals. You know that London has faced these terror attacks thrice till date. If you can recollect, the lone wolf attacks first happened in India. Mumbai terror attacks are the first lone wolf attacks in the world. Before going to that, let us understand how 9/11 has occurred in the United States of America. It was through centralized planning. A well-coordinated execution happened from Kabul, that is from Afghanistan. So on the other side, the recent attacks, these are not executed from a centralized location, and there is no planning that is happening at this centralized location. It means the terror attacks are becoming more and more decentralized. So social media is playing an important role. Rather than sending an executionary plan, these agencies like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, these are more looking for an person who has got influenced by their preachings. So indoctrination through social media has become an important weapon for lone wolf attacks. If you can take San Bernardino attacks in California, or if you talk about attacks in France and London, all these are self-motivated, indoctrinated people from the preachings of ISIS. And second is, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they also have an internal competition. They have competition for funds, prestige, and power. So in this context, they want to prove their legitimacy on jihadism. So in this context, they are in a hurry to claim they are responsible for these attacks. And second is, these ISIS and Al-Qaeda, they are also different in another aspect. Al-Qaeda has no state structure. It was hiding itself in Afghanistan under Taliban's. But ISIS went ahead. It wanted to have a territory for its own self. It wanted to create a caliphate. This caliphate is coming down now. Either Raqqa is supposed to be the capital of this caliphate. Raqqa, Mosul, the increased attacks from armed forces, they are facing a crisis situation out there. So they are desperate to prove their existence, and they have intensified their attacks. In this context, ISIS also has proven its presence in South Asia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and also Bangladesh. ISIS has made its footing. So India also need to be careful about this. What has to be done? So in this case, a permanent political solution to the existing disputes that are colored with religion is very much necessary. In case of India, it is Kashmir. In case of Iraq, it is Mosul. In Syria, so you need to find one or the other political solution to this. And second is, for police forces, the response is always critical for these attacks. As of now, they are not very active and they are unable to break down these networks as they are decentralized. But however, people coordination can play an important role in identifying them. So people-police trust is very much important over here. So people-police relations you need to work on. And immediate response. Here London police has to be praised for the Metropolitan Police. They are called as the Met. The Met has to be praised for their quick response. They are able to neutralize the terrorist in the least possible time. If you take the case with India, in Mumbai attacks, though it is first of its kind, we are unable to neutralize them as quick as possible, and it has led to 3 days of big loss for the country. So in this context, a well-trained manpower, a quick response force, people, public relations, and also political solutions for the existing conflicts, all are very critical. And then big data, big dangers. Now if you are using Facebook, Google, and what is your browsing history? What is your consumer behavior? What is your online footprint? Everything is being captured and stored in the data banks by Google, Facebook, and all these things. So in this context, corporates wants to know consumer behavior to capture the markets. In that way, there are two dangers. One is related to privacy. because all your information is going to be captured by the MNCs. And second thing is economic exploitation, because the data which you are giving is creating the wealth in United States of America. So the multinational corporations are taking up into a new phase which is often described as e-colonization. So the two major concerns are privacy and e-colonization. So what we have to do with regard to this? The first thing is India shall establish data centers. So if we can develop the big data centers as like in US and government can support us, the entire data which is generated has to be kept or can be placed within India itself. And second aspect is data protection law. As of now, India do not have any data protection law. It has to be put in place. Already government has initiated work in this particular aspect. And third thing is we need to encourage local entrepreneurship to develop these social networks. If you take China, they have Alibaba and also Baidu. So there is no Facebook or Google working in China. So the local entrepreneurship is encouraged. But we can't do the same way as like in China because we are an open economy now. What we have to do? We have to encourage local entrepreneurship, and also incentives have to be provided for the same to develop the local people over here. These are the various recommendations which have been suggested for. And coming to unwise proposal. This article is about Election Commission of India. Now before going into this, we need to talk about contempt. So there are contempt powers for courts and also for parliament in India, that is legislature in India, I will put it as. So there are contempt powers for courts and legislature. This contempt power is of two types. One is civil contempt, criminal contempt. So when a court order is not being obeyed, that is a civil contempt. If there is an effort to scandalize the court or decrease its prestige, then it is called criminal contempt. So what is criminal and civil contempt, how it has to be executed? There is a law prescribing it, that is called Contempt of Courts Act 1971. With regard to Parliament, this contempt is not yet codified till date. That's why what is prestige or powers of the Parliament, what is privileges of the Parliament and parliamentary members, these are subjected to the discretionary powers of the presiding officer to an extent. In this context, Election Commission stated that the parties which lost the elections, they are going to decrease the legitimacy of the Election Commission, and impartiality they are questioning it. Because of this questioning of impartiality, people can get a doubt on the functioning of Election Commission, which can enroot or which can make the entire work of the government itself outlawed, entire work of the Election Commission itself outlawed, and it can lead to a threat to democracy, cause a threat to democracy. So in this context, Election Commission has proposed for a contempt power to punish the people for its own contempt. So here be careful. So most of the cases, these words scandalous or decreasing prestige, etc., these are undefined. When they are vague, they are supposed or they become very subjective. So Election Commission also has vehemently supported its position and got into argument to prove itself, and it proved itself right. Now, if you compare court's position and Election Commission, courts have no such luxury to come into public controversy. So that's why the contempt power was given to them. So in this context, India being a open democracy, giving contempt powers to Election Commission is not in accordance with our democratic ethos. Because criticism, curtailing any criticism, it also curtails the feedback that has to be received by the agencies or institutions. And feedback leads to the evolution of the organization. So contempt can curtail the feedback. Election Commission very much needs to improve itself. The Quetta murders. So you know that Quetta is the capital of Balochistan. So under China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, there is a connectivity which has been built till Balochistan. So here, there is a special security division is supposed to be established by Pakistan to protect the Chinese workers. Here what is being stated is The Chinese people who are being murdered in Pakistan, these are involved in religious conversions and missionary activity in Balochistan. This is what is the claim of Pakistan. On the other hand, China shows the failure of security to protect its citizens. In this context, can we expect the China-Pakistan economic corridor and relations between China-Pakistan are expected to be derailed? No, because their relations have got deeply entrenched and they are more strategic. They involve nuclear cooperation to defense cooperation. So these issues, they may lead to some tactical changes, but strategically their relationship is much strong. That's what we need to understand. Let's come to the open-it page. Taking water to Telangana farmers. This is what is the thing. Here just remember one thing. There is rehabilitation and resettlement has to happen after every land acquisition. So what do we have is land acquisition, rehabilitation and resettlement law. Here, when this law is passed, there were certain constitutional issues because this law, when passed by the parliament, it was obstructed in Rajya Sabha. So now what the central government is stating is this. Let the states pass their own land acquisition law and it has to be reserved by the governor for the center's consideration, and the President of India's signature, through his signature it can become an act in the state. So it means the center is taking an alternate route to get this particular thing enacted. So the governor has to reserve a bill for the consideration of the president, which is a discretionary power, and most of the cases he is expected to do. So in this context, there is a lot of controversy related to this. But the Telangana Land Acquisition Act, it has certain special features. So here the land is going to be acquired through consent with sufficient rehabilitation and resettlement, and also the land will be obtained at the market prices through an open bargain with the farmers. So consent through market mechanisms and through rehabilitation and resettlement to all the people, that is project affected individuals. It is not just to the people who have given the land. It is to all the people, including agricultural laborers who are affected by the project. That is very much critical over here. Now let's get into the first page over this. Cabinet clears 5% interest subvention for crop loans. So up to 3 lakh rupees for the farmers who are regularly paying their loans, the center has approved for 5% interest subvention. It means that they have to pay only 4% interest rate. And if the farmers are not paying the loans on time, they will get only 2% interest subvention. This is what the center has taken a decision. And next is GST storm brews in services sector. So you know that goods and services tax, it is supposed to bring in one nation, one tax. But it is creating many difficulties because if I have a service registration in Hyderabad, if I want to start a branch in Delhi, I am expected to take a new registration in Delhi. So in practicality, one nation, one tax. One nation, one registration. This is not happening. So, as software companies operate in different cities, everywhere they are expected to take a separate registration. It is obviously bound to increase bottlenecks. So, these are the articles for today. And then at the end of the chapter, I gave you the notes. You can take these notes at laix.in/civils prep. Thank you very much and all the best.